Well, I'm joined in the studio now by Alexandra Hughes, a very local personality who's got a very important event coming up very shortly. Alexandra, good afternoon and welcome.
Thank you.
Now, tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all.
I live in Bracklesham Bay, and I've been there a few years, which I love. I took early retirement with the Salvation Army. I'm a Salvation Army major. I was an officer for 33 years, active in 18 different appointments up and down the country, conducting services and in charge of our community work, etc. And then when I took early retirement, I decided to have a dog on the coast, and that's Evie that's with me now. But before that, I was also looking after my elderly mother. She died last year, aged 102.
Wow.
She was a great age and a lovely Christian lady. And now I go to Bognor Salvation Army, which is a very active church and community centre. Very busy at this time of the year with the Salvation Army. It's so nice to be based in one place now rather than keep moving around, where I had no option where I would be sent.
I see.
We
so
called
it's nice
that
to be
marching
based
orders.
I see. And you have with you Evie, of course. Now, Evie is your dog, but a very special dog. Tell me about Evie.
Evie can be mischievous and naughty.
Really?
And oh yes, like she's a normal dog, and she's my pet dog. I've had her for over 10 years. She's 10 and a half. And she loves swimming in the sea, and she's a bit obsessed with her tennis ball. Goes everywhere with her, as you have seen in the studio this morning.
Indeed.
And she's a fox red Labrador, which you don't see too many of that colour these days, but they were the original Labradors apparently. And she had the right temperament, so I decided to apply for her to be a pets as therapy dog 8 years ago.
So tell me about that. How does that work? What is pets and therapy?
Pets as therapy is dogs that have been registered, accepted and processed to go around various establishments to visit people. It's really humans, it's really animals helping humans. And she does a wonderful work over the last 8 years. She's been to the Renford Day Centre for Learning Difficulties and the Fordwater School for children with special needs and multiple needs, and some of them can't walk or talk, but they hold her paw and smile, and some of the children love throwing her ball. And I teach them how to comb her and how to walk her under my control. And the teachers have said she's made a big difference, especially to some of the children that had phobias. I've also been round this hospital to Donald Wilson stroke unit, went for many years, which was very therapeutic for the patients. And plus, Evie's specialised to be a dog helping with phobia work.
Right.
Which is, I work with a cognitive behaviourist for several weeks. She gives her, or they give them techniques, and then I come in and help them to overcome their fear of dogs, especially if it's affected their lives. For example, a young lady of 22-ish, at the age of 11, she witnessed a dog attack, which wasn't the dog's fault. The dog was ill-treated, and it turned on the woman.
Oh dear.
And unfortunately, that set this poor girl off with the dog fear. She wouldn't go out the house alone, and she wouldn't go to school alone. And she decided to get help later in life, and she went to a cognitive behaviourist, and then Evie came on board, and we got to the point where she was actually touching her and walking with her with me. We had 2 leads, one I was in control of, and she held one. And the other month I saw her out locally walking on her own, which was so rewarding.
Yes, I'm sure.
And she said Evie had transformed her life. And I said to her, well, I've been praying for you, because obviously I'm a committed Christian. And I'm sure that with prayer and her bravery and the dog's help and the therapist's help, her life's been transformed.
So does she have to have special training then to be able to do this?
They're not, PAT dogs are not like service dogs. Service dogs have to have, 2 years training to help people that are blind or disabled. But PAT dogs are pets. For example, Evie's owned by myself. And they just have to have the right temperament and be healthy. Mm-hmm. And the volunteer, which is myself and many others, there's 5,000 in the UK, we have to have the time to devote to it for our voluntary work. And then she has to pass an assessment to make sure she's got suitable temperament. And I have to pass all the regulations and references to be registered. So it's quite a long process, but the training is done by the owner.
Right, I see.
And my mother, as I say, she died when she was 102. A few times she was a patient here at the hospital. When she visited me, she'd fall, as elderly people do, mm-hmm. and land up here, and they took the greatest care of her. So I felt as my contribution to what they did to help her, I would like to, I applied to take my dog round the hospital here. It's been a long process because you have to do additional procedures to, right. in addition to what the therapy people require. But I've been accepted, so I'm delighted about that.
And you'll be doing more work in 2018?
Yes, in addition to what we already do. We'll be going around the children's ward here and Boxgrove ward and the elderly wards, which I'm pleased about because that's where my mother was a patient and they looked after her so well. And
but there's also something else that is in the offing as well, because Evie's been shortlisted for a final, I believe. Tell me about that.
That's right. Out of all those PAT dogs I mentioned, every year apparently the establishments nominate dogs to go forward to be Pets as Therapy Dog of the Year, and Evie was nominated by Ford, Water and Renford and the therapist, cognitive behaviour therapist, and I was delighted when they phoned me up from the head office of Pets as Therapy office, to tell me she was in the final 6.
Wow.
So I feel so proud of her. She's been doing it now twice weekly for 8 years and plus a lot more. She's a special guest of honour at different things as well. Mm-hmm. She was here in the hospital at the Elderly Patients Week. She was a special guest, surprise guest, which was wonderful.
Yeah, sounds fun.
Yeah, and so now voting goes on till December the 31st because she's in the final 6, but it's now down to the public to get behind Evie.
Now that's where our listeners can come in and start voting. So how can they vote?
They can go on the voting link, which is www.yours.co.uk/PAT-dogs.
Okay, and you go on there and you just register. I've been on there myself and I have voted, but
that's kind of you.
It gives information about all the dogs, doesn't it?
Yeah, and unfortunately they didn't give a lot of information about Evie because I've outlined all she's done for 8 years, but they only had limited space.
Mm-hmm. And Evie's got her own Facebook page.
Oh yes, so they can always look on that to vote, which is just basically Evie Fox Red Labrador 2018 PAT Dog of the Year finalist. Oh, she's also got her own YouTube channel. Only when my mother died last year, as you know, when you lose someone that you're very close to, it's a great loss and a hole in your life. And even though I had my church and my faith and my friends, I wanted to fill my time because I'd spent a lot of time devoted to my mother.
Yes.
So I put all the videos that I'd taken of Evie over 10 years on a YouTube channel, Evie Fox Red Labrador.
Wow.
So
great.
That's not as popular as her Facebook page.
And tell us once again where people can vote again.
www.yours.co.uk/PATDogs, PATDOGS.
Excellent. And well, we'll watch this space with interest, and very, very good luck to you.
Yeah, thank
and
you.
to Evie.
Yeah, what happens next is after voting finishes, we then go in March to Crufts, and it's the award ceremony to find out the winner. So I'd love to bring the trophy back to West Sussex.
That'd be brilliant, wouldn't
First time ever.
Well, when you do, and we say when you do, you're going to pop in.
Optimistic.
Oh no, you'll do it.
Thank you.
So when you do, come back and see us again.
Yeah, and thank you very much for this opportunity to tell the listeners about Evie. And may I say to them all, Merry Christmas and God bless you and a Happy New Year.
Thank you, and the same to you, Alexandra, and of course to Evie.
Evie, she's in the studio, quiet for a change.